Our call to worship this morning is from Gretchen Haley. Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past, forgive the future. For each come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight. If only we keep waking up. This is the gift we have been given, these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it all, giving thanks together. Come, let us worship.
We light this flame for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know. Perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. Please join me in the affirmation which is printed on the back of your order of service and projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 1011, in the Teal hymnal. Return again.
Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul.
not calling anybody forward because I'm going to put all of you in the seats on the spot in a minute. And anyway, Horizon does contribute to our local community, and one of the ways we do that is by giving to MetroCrest Services. Usually we bring up shelf-stable food items and items for the food pantry, and after service I invite you to place it in this basket here. And another way that we help our local community is by supporting our little free pantry in the parking lot. And this time of year, all canned goods and toiletries are acceptable because of the cool weather. It's just that we ask that you bring Pop-Tops for people who are unhoused. So, you know that question that was on the screen? I'd be very interested to hear some of your responses before I read the story. So I'm going to come into the seats and just hear what your group had to say. So is there anybody that would like to mention what they said real quick? You don't have to talk into a microphone. You can just mention it. What did you all say? Oh, when you concentrate on your senses, you can be much more present. Did anybody else want to contribute? Oh, let's see, I see hands over here. It's harder than it sounds. Yeah, that's my experience too, for sure. Other folks? Yes, so when you're younger, you live much more in the moment, but when you're older, it seems like you can maybe look ahead? Is that what you kind of paraphrase?
You appreciate those moments now more when you're older, so you have to really enjoy them when they come, because when you're younger, you can appreciate them so much.
Ah.
But now as you get older, you look back and you think, oh, I wish I could see that with my.
Sure, so now that when you're older, you just cherish those moments because you know that they're few and far between, is kind of what you were saying, just to paraphrase. How about one more person? If I concentrate on my breath, that's so great. Well, I have a very short story for you, and it's going to be projected behind me. And I always say this, that children's literature is like poetry. It says so much in so few words with the beautiful illustrations behind it. So the story I'm going to read everyone today is called I Am Peace, and it's a book of mindfulness by Susan Verde and art by Peter H. Reynolds. There are times when I worry about what might happen next and what happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor being carried away. I give myself a moment, I take a breath, and then I tell myself it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet and steady myself. And I start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle. My mind begins to clear. I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear. I'll let things go. I can say what I feel inside out loud. I know myself. I can share kindness with others. I make a difference. I can have the tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I connect to nature. I can watch the clouds make shapes against the sky. I know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and hear and see what is all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath, feel my whole body. I tune into me. Now the water is still. I have found my anchor and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am in this moment. I am peace. Now I share my peace with others and hope that it is carried away to those who need it. And I dream we are peace. peace. So I hope you heard a lot of what you talked about before in this book. And so thank you so much for participating and for listening. So if there are any young folks, we are going to go back to the blue classroom now for some holiday classes. So let's go ahead and sing you out.
We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Thank you to our members and friends who give and pledge electronically. If you would like to give electronically, you may do so on the Breeze app or online at horizonuu.org/donate. The offering will now be joyfully. Oh, Casa Video. Oh, I'm sorry. We now have a short video from Casa.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Jen Adame, and I am with CASA of Denton County, and thank you so much for being so generous with us this month with your December plate offering. The video was about a young mother who had her child removed, and CASA helped her get that child back with the help of resources that she didn't even know existed. And that is one of the things that we do as CASAs. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. They are people that are volunteering and trained, and they assist people that have whose kids are in the foster care system. Our main goal is to help those children, but sometimes that means also making sure that those parents have some resources they didn't even know existed before, and can have those children returned to the homes. Sometimes they're not returned to the homes, they're adopted by kin, family, or by an adoptive home. But the donations that you will be making will be helping our advocates make these children's lives better and giving them some consistency with an adult that can be in their life, and they maybe never had that before. They may have gone through their whole life with people in and out of their lives, and those CASA advocates might be the most consistent adult, might help them to learn to trust, and more importantly, just to have a better trajectory in their life going forward. I am unable to stay after the service, but I'm going to leave some information here, and including my business card. And if you have any interest in checking us out further, we have 3 information sessions every month. One of them is virtual, so you can do that from your couch, which is super easy, to learn more about CASA. And even if that's not something that you feel like you can volunteer for right now, I would love for you to attend an information session to just know more, so that you can be an evangelist in the community and let other people know and be an advocate yourself for what we do and how we help these children. Thank you again so much for having me, and happy holidays.
All unpledged donations will go to CASA today. The rest are your tithe. The offering will now be joyfully given and received. Thank you for your generosity.
This song is called Be Here Now by Mason Jennings. Inside this moment, it's the only one. You are the love of my life. You are the love starts again. Sun comes out and it starts again. Sun comes up and we start 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 again. It's all we have today, and all we have to say is be here now.
A reading from Megan Devine. Spiritual and meditative practices are not meant to erase pain. That's a symptom of our pain-avoidant culture, and not an accurate portrayal of the practices themselves. It is a misuse of so many beautiful teachings to force them into roles they were never meant to play. Spiritual practices in any tradition, including mindfulness in its many forms, are meant to help you live what is yours to live, not make you rise above it. These tools are meant to help you feel companioned inside your grief. They're meant to give you a tiny bit of breathing room inside what is wholly unbearable. That's not at all the same thing as making your pain go away. Rather than help us rise above being human, teachings in any true tradition help us become more human, more connected, less attached, not less attached.
So some of you might remember the last time I was up here, I was preaching a post-election sermon. In the aftermath of it, I preached from the story of the Buddha on not looking away, and how after the Buddha encountered suffering, he wasn't able to look away anymore from what was there. What I said in that service was that the young Prince Siddhartha was raised in a very privileged life, where his parents attempted to shield him from even knowing that suffering existed. But his experiences of encountering pain in others led him to become a spiritual teacher who would seek the remedy for suffering for all people. Now, this is what happened, but some of you familiar with the story of the Buddha may have picked up on the fact that I paraphrased a few details of the story. Like many of us, when confronted with a new truth, Siddhartha's journey was not completely linear. He didn't become an enlightened, compassionate being overnight. Instead, there were a lot of twists and turns that led to his own suffering for many years. There is much more for the young prince to learn before he'd be able to impart his wisdom to others. The story goes that after encountering suffering, Siddhartha decided to leave the palace and his family in order to seek a solitary spiritual life. At the time, asceticism, the extreme denial of oneself, was popular in India, and many were following an interpretation of the Vedic beliefs of the region that saw self-denial as one of the greatest virtues one could aspire to, and the secret to eliminating suffering. You see, asceticism is not concerned with what is here and now. It's concerned with putting up with a little bit, or maybe a lot of bit, of suffering in order to gain something more, probably in the afterlife. Siddhartha took up the life of an ascetic, attempting to reach enlightenment through extreme self-denial, essentially creating suffering in his life so that he would be able to grow to accept it. I know none of us create suffering in our own lives. The stories relay that Siddhartha would hold his breath for extremely long periods of time, so long he was creating pain in his head and neck, and he would deny himself food and water necessary for his survival. In one such instance, his self-denial was so extreme that he was on the verge of starving to death. We're told that a young milkmaid came across the extremely emaciated ascetic and offered him some milk to drink, which he did. He then took bread from her, and as he began to regain his strength, Siddhartha realized that the self-denial he had been practicing would not lead to liberation from suffering. Realizing this, he began to meditate under a Bodhi tree, where after 49 days, he achieved enlightenment. Now the Buddha, the enlightened one, he realized that liberation from suffering comes through calm meditation, being able to see the world as it is, not running from it. The Buddha learned not to flee from the face of suffering, but not to embrace it either. His path became known as the middle way. From now on, I will take the middle way, he said. I shall neither starve my body nor feed it too richly, but will eat just what is needed and no more. Buddhism was a very important influence on my spirituality as an adult. Like many who sought to follow the Buddha, however, I came to it seeking to learn the secrets to suppressing my emotions and thoughts I did not like, those that society tends to label as negative or impure. I thought that the self-discipline of meditation would help me learn how to stop these intrusive impulses and become a more enlightened being. As I look back on this impulse, I recognize there is a degree of selfishness to it. I wanted to be perfect because I thought that would make me a better person. In truth, this interpretation of Buddhism was, for me, rooted in my fundamentalist Christian background that labeled things as good and evil, right and wrong. There was a good and an evil way for me to live. And if I could only find the secret of how to eliminate those evil impulses within me, all would be well, and I would live happily ever after, forever and ever, amen. But the more I focused on trying to eliminate these unwanted thoughts and feelings, the stronger they became. And the stronger they became, the more I despaired I would ever be enlightened. Spoiler alert, I'm still not enlightened. It was only when I came to view the Buddha's project, not as repressing my thoughts and feelings, but as accepting them in a way that recognized I need not grasp them, that I began to understand that the enemy wasn't my internal dialogue, but the way I thought about my world. When the milkmaid gave the Buddha sustenance, he recognized that fleeing from the world and the way things were was only creating more suffering rather than more liberation in his life. It was only by looking at things directly, the way they were, that he was able to find the path to enlightenment. He realized that his denial of food was destructive for him and didn't really take into account the physical needs of his body. If you've ever flown on an airplane, you might have heard the flight attendants say, in the event of oxygen masks dropping, put your own on before you help others. Well, that was kind of what the Buddha learned. You gotta eat before you can help others, because if you don't eat, you're gonna die, and what use are you then? Those 49 days, the Buddha did not try to suppress or destroy those parts of him that he did not like, but he learned to accept them as the way things were in the moment, whether he personally liked it or not. This is the true meaning of Zen, being willing to look reality square in the face and accept it, even if you don't like it. It's not saying that this is the way things should be, or that I have no volition to be able to accept them. In fact, some schools of Zen, such as those that follow the late Thich Nhat Hanh, see social justice as an integral part of following the Buddha. But you see, when I'm able to look at myself exactly as I am, I can have compassion for myself. And when I'm able to have compassion for myself, I can have compassion for you and you and you. Because I'm not fleeing from the reality of anything or anyone in the room. And I'm not letting judgments, least of all my own, be the last word. I can see things as they are, but not get wrapped up in them. Thoughts and emotions are no longer good or bad. They just are. In a word, it's presence. Presence to all that is. I've had so many people over the years tell me, I'm just not good at meditation. And when they tell me that, I ask them why. And they say, well, because my thoughts are going all different directions in my head. And my reaction is always, congratulations. You've discovered the secret of meditation, being aware that those thoughts are going around and around and around in your head. If you were telling me you were thinking nothing, I'd question whether you were actually doing it right. This is meditation. And we'll have a chance to do it in just a moment. But we'll also ask, what does a life look like that practices this sort of presence? And is it really practical in this day and age? Will you please join me in singing our doxology? You'll find the words projected on the screen behind me. We now take time to honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected, and what affects one affects us all. A sorrow from Maya Campbell on behalf of her coworker Yaya, wishing healing and good energy as her dad passed away on Friday after a long battle with pneumonia. A joy, Carol and Steve Franson celebrated their 39th wedding anniversary this weekend. And a joy from Deb Freeman, the joy of multi-generational Thanksgiving. Hope we have a few more years with the seniors in our family. And we light a candle this morning to honor all the sorrows and joys which have gone unspoken and reside only in our hearts. Now, as I suggested during the first part of my sermon, we're going to do a little different time for meditation and prayer this morning. We're going to break it with the responsive hymn number 1009 in the Till hymnal, Meditation on Breathing. But for now, let's take a few minutes to settle in and get centered now. I invite you to get as comfortable as you're able. You might want to stretch or adjust how you're seated, or shake out a little tension, put your feet on the floor. Whatever you need, just try to give yourself a little bit more physical comfort, if that's possible. And now I invite you to notice if it feels okay to pay attention to your body for a bit, to notice a place inside you that feels like a center, and just breathe with your attention there, if you'd like. You might notice the presence of love at the center. See if it's there and breathe into it. With each in-breath, notice love at the center. And then I invite you to notice the edge of the out-breath, noticing love at the center of each in-breath, and then noticing the outer edge of each breath you release. You might bring your attention to your own edges, finding a boundary that marks the edge of you. Perhaps it's your skin. Maybe it's a bubble of energy surrounding you. Perhaps it's somewhere inside, closer to your center. Wherever you find that boundary is okay. Breathing in and noticing the center, breathing out and noticing the boundary. You can play with this practice. Breathing. Notice what happens with your center and your edges as you stay with them and give them your attention. Sometimes our boundaries want to be pulled in close for protection. Sometimes they want to be big and spacious and roomy. Both needs are real, and both deserve our respect. As you attend to your center and your edges now, you might use your breath to help mark the boundary that is right-sized for this moment. Take a few breaths there. If you notice your attention wandering, congratulations, you're doing it right. Just bring your attention back to that center as we meditate for a few moments during the silence. And when you're ready, I invite you to come back to our shared space and to notice again who is here with you. Each of us an individual with their own center and boundaries. Each one a part of this larger collection of beloved companions. All of us part of the larger whole with love at the center. We are so glad you are here. Blessed be.
Please join me in a responsive reading from Amanda Udis Kessler. You'll find the words in your order of service and projected on the screen behind me. This morning and all mornings, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to our individual lives, to our delights and pains. We are called to understand and cherish ourselves, to take good care of ourselves, to know ourselves as loving and worthy of love. In paying attention to our lives, we give thanks for all that is good in them and work to make the best decisions we can to help us live fully and joyfully. Today and all days, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the people in our lives, to celebrate their joys with them and tend to them in their struggles. We are called to bring our compassion, kindness, and patience to our relationships, even as we are grateful for the compassion, kindness, and patience others show to us. In paying attention to the people in our lives, we give thanks for their presence and work to support them to the best of our abilities. Throughout our lives, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the society in which we live. We are called to understand the ways in which the lives of people we don't know and never will know are made harder by political and economic policies that value some kinds of people over other kinds of people. In paying attention to our society, we give thanks for the many people who are working for justice for everyone, and we join in working with them so that all people are treated with the dignity and worth they possess. In all that we do, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the natural world around us. We are called to understand how our decisions help the natural world to flourish or cause it harm. In paying attention to the natural world, we give thanks for the way it sustains and enriches our lives, and we commit to living sustainably so that all beings have the chance to live and so that many generations after our own can celebrate the planet and its gifts. Love, compassion, gratitude, and the demands of justice call us all to pay attention. As we pay attention, we bless ourselves, each other, our society, and the world.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
In today's social media world, one can get on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram and scroll all day through videos and photos and posts the platform thinks you will like. If you doubt me, try it. There will always be one more. In fact, the platforms are designed that way to keep your attention for as long as possible, because the longer you scroll, the more advertisements you will see on their platform and the more money they'll make. Social media, quite literally, makes money on getting your attention and keeping it occupied for as long as possible. I know this from experience. I'm going to confess so that Calvin doesn't tell on me during coffee hour. I've opened TikTok before and, well, I've just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through short videos. A cat, a beagle. Oh, there's someone hurting themselves. I don't know why TikTok thinks I want to see that. And I've done it to the point that before I've known it, I've been doing it for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. One time, I even managed to go through the app for an hour, wondering where the time went in the end. I find that once I start scrolling, it's quite difficult to stop. My mind just keeps getting distracted over and over again, like my beagle encountering a squirrel at the park. I would be lying if I had said it hadn't happened even as I was writing this sermon, as notifications dinged on various electronic devices all around me. Now, this isn't going to be an anti-technology sermon. This isn't grumpy Zennial coming up here to tell you about how the kids these days and their dang technology. Like every human innovation, I think social media can be used for good and bad intentions. After all, before apps like Facebook, it was difficult to keep up with the people in my life. Now I can find out what friends and acquaintances from high school are up to with the click of a few buttons, whether I wanted to or not. But the way profit-driven social media ventures operate is an apt metaphor for an old Buddhist concept called the monkey mind. Everyday life throws a seemingly infinite number of things our way. There's always one more out there ready to get thrown at you. Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, memories, daydreams, and so much more. Our minds, though, neuroscientists tell us, can only focus on a finite number of things at a time. If you're like me, maybe one on a good day, too. So our minds filter things through, looking for what is most relevant in the moment. There is actually a famous video on YouTube where people are throwing balls back and forth, and you're so focused on watching them throw the balls back to each other that many people don't even see that there's a guy in a gorilla costume walking behind them, because your mind filters it out. Now, in theory, your mind is trying to pick up on the thing that is most relevant to you. If it's a good survival mechanism, if you're running for your life from a mountain lion, it's better to focus on that than the pretty sunset behind it. Unfortunately, our minds are often inefficient at this, not picking the most relevant thing to focus on. It's why those who text and drive may focus on their phones rather than the road ahead of them, often leading to deadly car accidents. But it goes even further than this. Even as I'm standing here preaching this sermon, my attention could be drawn in the moment to something else going on, whether it's relevant to my present situation or not. Like, I wonder what Warren's doing out there right now. Hi, Warren. I may remember that I need to take the dog for a walk later, or I need to pay my car insurance. Like constant scrolling on TikTok, my mind is constantly shifting to the next thought or emotion that catches its attention, keeping me in such a constant loop that I'm scarcely aware it's even happening. And oh yeah, there are things happening before me that I'm not even aware of. As Buddhist teacher Tenzin Palmo put it, distraction is the main problem for us all. Like a monkey jumping from tree to tree, the mind jumps from thought to thought with scarcely a break in sight. It's why one can go deep in the wilderness among picturesque scenery, but their mind be so occupied that they fail to appreciate the beauty surrounding me. Ask me about how many times I've been out hiking and seen people just walking along, texting on their phone. Many come to traditions like Buddhism thinking that meditation will teach them to squash their monkey minds. I know I did. I thought I just lacked discipline, and that if I could meditate long enough, I would be better at staying in the present moment. By sheer force of will, I thought I could force my mind to conform to what I wanted it to be. However, monkey mind is not to be squashed. The thoughts only got louder and more persistent, and I realized I wasn't learning to be present at all. What Zen meditation teaches is not to try to force the mind into a particular mode of being, but to simply notice what is there. Your thoughts and your emotions are not your enemy, even if you don't like them. Paying attention to what's going on in your mind, including the fact that you don't like them, or maybe you do, is what being in the present moment is all about. Because it's what's going on in your mind right now. And as Thich Nhat Hanh once put it, paradoxically, the present moment is the only time over which we have dominion. You can't change the past. You can only do so much to plan the future. But the present moment is here, now. Paradoxically, paying attention to my monkey mind without judging it has quieted it some over the years, though I'm nowhere near enlightened. After all, paying attention to my thoughts and emotions isn't giving them into them or letting them control me, but simply acknowledging that they are my current reality. By abdicating my war with myself, I'm able to make peace with what's going on within me and have more room for taking in what's going on in the wider world. It's a form of acceptance, but not capitulation, that I'm able to extend into the universe, recognizing what is, because this is the first step towards building my world as I want it to be. After all, how often can one fulfill their goals if they're in denial about just how far away these goals are? This is the beginning of transformation, to know where I am, mind, soul, and body, and be able to figure out what to do with that information. This is why it matters that we're present to what is. Thich Nhat Hanh used to be asked, what could one do if one wanted to stop war or injustice or oppression? And his answer, I'm told, was to be present to what is right now, as hard as it is to be there. It's impossible to build the world we dream of until we're able to know where we are in the present. I was just in Mexico City a couple of weeks ago. It's an interesting city because it was built on top of a bunch of lakes. The net result is the city is sinking because the Spanish colonialists who came in were in denial about how much this land was just not right for the types of buildings that they were building. You can actually see this. A tour guide I had pointed out, see that door that looks like it was built just below ground? That used to be at ground level. And well, if I build a house in Indiana, it will do me no good if I currently live in Dallas. I'm not going to do a 15-hour commute to work every day. I can't force the house to do any good for my living situation. Where are you right now? What is the foundation of your life? What does your present moment look like? Wayne Dyer once said, "Our present moment is a mystery that we are a part of. Here and now is where all the wonder of life lies hidden." And I would add to that, here and now is the only way we can find the wonder of life. There are always going to be difficult parts of life. That's part of being human. And if we deny the parts that we don't like, paradoxically, we're less likely to notice the parts that bring us joy, the parts that make life worth living. If you want to sit down sometime with me for a cry about the way things are, I will be more than happy to, because you deserve that. But part of having that cry is acknowledging they're here. It's the only way we can ever bring love into this world, I'm convinced, to know what this world is like in the present moment. When I'm present to the reality of what is, I can find the wondrous gifts that lie underneath. And by being present in the world, I can hopefully create the conditions necessary for it to change to a more just and equitable place for all beings to live. That is why bodhisattvas vow not to become enlightened until all beings are enlightened. And this is why Buddhists practice loving kindness meditation. Because being present to all that is, being a witness to the way things are, is the first step towards being able to free all beings from suffering. Spiritual practice doesn't happen in a vacuum. Hopefully it makes us a better person, but it'll also make the world a better place. May it be so.
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. This we do because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. I would like to invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 88 in the gray hymnal, Calm Soul of All Things.
Our benediction is by the Irish poet John O'Donoghue. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you respond to the call of your gift and find the courage to follow its path. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame and anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.